approaches and has a hit. Jack McGlynn! That is an absolute banger to draw this game level.
What's happening? We're here. A little late. The kid decided he did not want to go to sleep, so we are here. So sorry about the lateness, but a few minutes. But I know it's in the middle of the night for some of you, so I apologize, and we'll get right into it. So just kind of wrapping up things from the midweek. Vancouver lineups are in. Ryan Gauld out. Veselinovic out, Kubas out. So 3 guys that I expect probably coming on at halftime. If they're trying to advance or they just don't care and are mailing it in. So yeah, we'll see here. Ryan, first up in. What's happening? Jay Blaze, let's get cracking. A little late, but we're here. Blot, what's happening? Daniel, what's happening? Cameron coming in. Allende and Gonzalez, 0% starting. Sorare data predictions, I was looking earlier just because I was in my RotoWire article and I was just looking at them, a lot of picks weren't in. There was like 3 picks done midday. A lot of people just wait for, information to come in. They changed significantly. Gonzalez started midweek and kind of the rotation has been him in, him out. So that's about why him. And kind of same thing. They've been playing Concacaf Champions Cup. Inter Miami will have a midweek match. So that's kind of why 0%. I appreciate you. JJ Lane, what's happening? We're live. Yes, we are. Thanks for coming back, Jay Blaze. Remember to like your favorite teams. Yeah, MLS teams. Yeah, if you guys like the stream, I appreciate it. I don't really know what it does, but it gets exposure and gets more people watching for sure. McLean, let's go. Yeah, keep it in there. What an egg match. Padel catching us live. Let's go. What's happening? Legend to you as well. Love seeing your lineups. You have great looking lineups. Yvonne, what's happening? You're working. Let's go. Everybody's working for the weekend, baby. Friday tomorrow or Friday today for some of you. Is Manu Garcia available for this weekend? He's been off the bench. He's with them being knocked out, I would think he would be. We can take a look at Alex's lineups and kind of compare to what I think. Let's go, Deco. Let's go. What's happening? Good to see you in here. You just won a card that I forgot to look at the auction, and then I saw that you won. I'm like, man, that's a steal. Can't remember who it was. Remind me if whoever you got recently. It might have been like this morning. Maybe last night, I can't remember, but I had like a timer set for it. You got a great price on it. What's your current opinion on New York City? I think they stink, but great draw to start the year. They do have Martins and Tavon Gray coming back, so that's good. So not the worst, right? As you can rapid fire questions as we're coming in. I will go through lineups and go through a little bit of my process, but let's get to the bad first, to the good, the bad, the ugly. Concacaf Champions Cup is really hard, to say the least. Not a great showing. But if you take in consideration what happened, Cincinnati, let's go to what their lineup was. If anyone in the world got 11 out of 11, I'd call you a liar, just because, they rotate everyone. We kind of knew this was coming. We talked about, if you're in the last stream, we talked about Andrew Thomas seemed like he had a really good chance of playing. Stefan was out, so that kind of made, a little bit of sense. Evander starting, didn't see that coming. He went 45 minutes. Denke started 45 minutes. A lot of these guys, Miles Robinson, they were in it. Adnan started again. This is a Cincinnati 2 kid. Daly, Cincinnati 2 kid. He came up. There's no way in the world I would have thought he would be starting. But, they don't really have options with some of the early injuries. So that was pretty difficult there. Laura starting, he kind of thought it could happen. Powell got in. I think I got 5. We'll go back to the doc earlier. Halsey started over Engel. Engel didn't get a minute. But yeah, Nunga started. Talked about that in the stream, that he had a good chance. I had him at 50%, but not in the starting lineup. So it was tough. So you're dealing with this lineup when they had nothing to play for, as far as they had it in hand. I don't think they were too worried about it whatsoever. But yeah, that was tough. Got 5 out of 11 there. So that's a killer. 10 out of 11 for Inter Miami, 11 out of 11 for Colorado, LAFC 10 out of 11. But then the other ones, RSL is just going to be the bane of my existence this year. I feel it, but at least they're out. So, yeah, we're rolling at 67% there. There's just so much rotation. I got the 10 out of 11 to start, then 5 and 7. The last 2 weeks or last 2 game weeks have been brutal. Seattle had that super rotation. Both center backs played, which they didn't score very well if you did have them, but there's rotation everywhere there. And Vancouver tonight rested their 3 best players. So I assume they're coming off, like I said, at halftime, but that ends up being an 8.29 out of 11 for 75%, my worst week. But this happens every year. If you're new to lineup predictions, every year at the beginning of the season, I do pretty bad, but like 75% is not good, but it's not that bad considering some of the rotation that was out there. If we have a normal game week, I'm hoping to hit 85-ish%. So like the first full game week, 83%. I would like to be a little bit higher than that, but like on the season, if you're kind of new to how I do, 2 years ago, I was around 81, 82%. Anything over 80 is good, in my opinion, in MLS. So anyone that does predictions, if you're over 80%, that's good. And last year, I think I was 84.8% I ended up with, which I'm ecstatic about. This season, I'm at 83.84%. Hopefully, when we get out of Champions Cup, that number boosts up a little bit. So just I'm going to do this every single stream. Do a little recap. I'm all about transparency. You can see my numbers on Sorare Inside as well per team, but this kind of just gives you an idea. And this is in the pinned tweet in my Google Sheet. So this is the first thing, 2025. This kind of gives you an insight into, okay, my predictions. You look at Toronto. Okay, I got 7. You can see that, okay, maybe, there's some risk here. But then you see maybe like the Galaxy. Again, this is a 1 sample for the Galaxy, but you see, okay, 11 out of 11. Maybe I could put a little more stock into it. But yeah, this is just for you to see how it's going. Is the Drake calendar situation still a mystery? Let's pop open because we've had a couple Inter Miami. This is our inside. We got everything here. So help if one thing I will say on here, the Concacaf Champions Cup matches are showing here. These are not in this game week. The Cincy Tigres, Pumas, that's the Costa Rican side, LAFC and Columbus. That is the next game week. At least should be based on the schedule and everything. So that is next game week. It's showing up now just based on Opta. But yeah, it's just unscheduled games. When we get to Leagues Cup, we'll have the same issues like we had before. So we have all 30 lineups. I tweet out the team experts. So we got some great team experts here as well. I think I did 24 of the lineups and they do 6 or 23 and 7. Can't remember what the breakdown is, but yeah, that's what we got going on. We'll go straight into Inter Miami just because they had the midweek, the calendar situation, and everything involved here. So there was like a link. There was a still frame of like Messi grabbing his leg, and there's big, not really controversy, but about a 10-hour questioning of, is he down already? But Mascherano confirmed it was just managing workload. He's fine. So yeah, that's a little bit tricky there. But this is JJ Lane's question. If you if you didn't ask, so Drake calendar situation. Adductor, he's been fully training though. So, and I also put not Argentine just based on it's a little joke, but sorry if you're Argentinian or Argentine, whichever you prefer. I assume Argentine, but yeah, it just seems like he's just not wanted there. So either move him or he's just going to keep on the side. But the one question mark that I saw was Ustari was in some discomfort during the match, and he was close to being replaced per the beat writer. So one of the beat writers, I forget which one I got this from, but they said they were monitoring that situation. Haven't heard anything at all. Tomorrow, Jarm 21. He's the guy that like usually any information before lock, it's usually around like 1 hour before lock. He hits you with it, and he's been pretty good over the last year at least on Messi news. So he's the one to watch for sure. But the other ones, Fafa Pico, recovery process going well. He's spotted on the anti-gravity treadmill. So, I don't think he's going to be in any consideration for this match, but he's in there. Cello Wiegand, still out with a hamstring. But other than that, we talked about the Allende. I have him at 40% in Kramashi. It just based on the way the rotation is, and here's kind of how I track it. Preseason stuff still here, and then you can just kind of go over here, and it's just kind of track what's happening, especially with this Concacaf Champions Cup. And if you look at Allende, right mid, sub did not play, right mid. If they continue doing the same thing, it should be. And if you look at Kromoski, right mid, and then same thing, should be, but we'll see. Any risk into Palencia? So yeah, I highlighted a little bit of risk there. It's under investigation, so the hammer could come at any time. It seemed like he definitely said something. I'm not gonna say one way or the other, but I don't really know much into that. Right now I'm in the starting lineup, but it's 70%, I believe, when we get to LAFC. 70%. We just don't know anything. And, from previous ones like Van Zier, from Kai Wagner, it's been like a 3 to 5 game, just kind of depends who situation. So we've seen that before in the past. You just don't know. And it's one of those things like you play them and the suspension comes Friday after lock. And if you don't play him, he's good to go. And, he plays and hits 100. So that's pretty brutal. Hatlingen, what's happening? If you're playing a Miami goalkeeper, you're doing it wrong. They have had a clean sheet, which is surprising. Speaking of clean sheets, Lloris has actually been a bit of a stud for them. What is an anti-gravity treadmill? It's like a chamber that goes around you on the treadmill that I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but you run with it, and it's supposed to help you be lighter. And so, like, if you're rehabbing an injury, it allows you to run similar to like a pole. I don't know. You run the ceiling, helps with the blood flow. That's hilarious. JP Tax, what's happening? Welcome in. Treadmill on the moon, yeah. So while we're here, LAFC, again, another team that is rotating, but they don't have center mid options. They have basically nothing. I have them all at 70% just in case they have an LAFC 2 guy come in. Yes, that's possible, but it's just not very likely, in my opinion. Should be Delgado, should be Igor, and it should be Tillman. Tillman's performances have been pretty poor. I've watched every match LAFC's played so far because they've had like standalone matches. And he hasn't been very good. There's reportedly signings, hopefully in the wind, trying to bring in at least 1 or 2 guys maybe before that was the April window closes up. Aaron Long is the other question mark. He subbed at halftime. Haven't had any word on a planned sub. I looked at training pics today, and I couldn't really make out if he was in there. I have to look again on Instagram. I usually don't use Instagram very much, but sometimes they post pictures over there to see. The rotation, it should be Marlon. Marlon came on at halftime for Long. But again, Segura has just not been very good in terms of in comparison to Marlon, or, Long's scores have been good as well. And then up top, Abobasi earned the start again, in my opinion. He actually scored goals. Giroud does not. Bouanga, 80%, but like he plays every game pretty much. Kind of a poor start for him, his scores. If he has another stinker here, maybe we ask some questions against New York City FC. Good matchup in theory, on paper, but yeah, we'll see on this one. And then Ordaz, he's been really good, but David Martinez has been really good as well. I think they want to keep fresh legs for both. The big one here is the midweek matches against Columbus. So that's a big one. Champions Cup, round of 16. They want to win. They've been to the final twice. Is that right? At least, 2 finals. Yeah. So they're definitely looking to win. other than that, I mean, there's nothing really. Under still shouldn't be a factor yet. But yeah, Awaziem, he was livid about what was said to him. It was a racist remark. Yeah, I don't really have any information on that, but pretty tough there. Jerry, what's happening? Sviatchenko. Yeah, we have some great news here from Olsen. That's sarcasm. I apologize. The quote is, he'll play when he plays. That was a direct quote after the match. He was not happy. It's a hamstring knock. An unverified source said it was a slight knock and just a precaution. Just right now, I have to go through some training picks for sure on this one as well. I haven't heard any news. I have to scrape through some of my sources. Haven't had a lot of time today to kind of go through my feed. You can see whenever I make some changes, but I'll do that before I go to bed tonight. I've been listening to the podcast, Bayou City Soccer. I forget. But that's one of like I try to get some clips from there just in case. But right now I'm 50-50 with Femi Owodesu. Bartlett should start. Backline just wasn't that good. Mikael being out is huge. I do have Escobar in the starting lineup, just based on, he played 5 minutes off the bench, but this is like almost 2 full weeks of training. So yeah, that's kind of where I am there. Maybe Ladera's in the mix for a start. So that's also a question as well. But yeah. Cody, what's happened? Orjano, no news on him. I would have thought he would have been on the bench for the Concacaf Champions Cup match just because they needed guys. As far as, I have one of his cards. I would not play him until I see him, in a lineup. So he's just not going to be anywhere near any of, my lineups until I'm at 30% just based on possible rotation. But with him not being in there, he signed the new deal, which is really, really positive, but he didn't do a preseason. He had like a leg knock. It wasn't a big deal, but then just fitness concerns. They're not going to throw him out there until he's fully fit. And, they're probably treating training as, his preseason. So he might be a week away. Yeah, we'll see on that. Is Bryce Duke going to start? So Montreal, boy, if you didn't read my RotoWire article, I am very, very high on Minnesota, and for good reason. Shout out to our new expert. Oops, not doing Minnesota. Sorry. Shout out to our new expert. Talked to him, and he's like the perfect guy. He's from Montreal. So Gary Nutcha. Man, I just botched that for sure. I'm gonna call him Gary because it's just easy. But he's kind of a legend on Twitter, huge following, and he's a Montreal guy. So this is him. He is our guy here. Bryce Duke is at 70% for him, which based on kind of what I saw as well, I'd agree with that. The one beat writer, it's all in French, so he knows French. It's a lot easier for him. Piet and Campbell have been absent the last like 2 to 3 days, maybe 3, because they weren't there today either. So, there's almost no way that they play based on that. So that back line is going to have to play Alvarez. Opoku, he got subbed at halftime last match too. I think Caden Clark, Pierce looks like he's going. You love to see that for sets. It kind of takes away from Duke's sets. They'll probably split a little bit, if not Pierce taking more. And then Herber's sliding back into the midfield, which makes a lot of sense there with Piet out. So they surprised. They put up a good fight week 1 against Atlanta, but I think Minnesota is going to just kind of beat them down here. But yeah, Engel pretty safe after not playing a minute. Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of I would rather my guys not play midweek so they can play for the weekend, which a lot of people are like that. But he should be safe. I'm at 90% on him. Feel good about it. Rumors are Duke being offered out of the clubs. Okay. So with Minnie, who do you feel comfortable playing in a lineup? So I'm high on them winning the match, but as far as options, it's not as good as it could be. It's not like full Minnesota stack's gonna smash, because it's just weird. The one big piece being out is Joseph Rosales at left wing back, taking sets, but Joaquim Pereira took almost all sets. He took every corner whenever they're both on the pitch. So that's something to watch moving forward. But you just don't love playing any of these guys outside of number one for me, Kelvin Yeboah. I think he's going to have a brace. I will be putting a wager in on 2+ goals and 2 score. I think there's just, he's not getting a lot of service like that LAFC match, a road match, tricky. He wasn't getting a lot of services. I think Load does a really good job of doing that, but it doesn't seem like he's, going to be in a starting lineup unless they do a rotation because Pereira and Dotson were the 2 guys. Dotson's still in the mix for trades. So if you do have a Robin Load, I wouldn't be too worried. You're just, not getting the utility early. I still think Dotson could move before the deadline just because he doesn't want to be there. Clearly, if you request a trade, I'm just kind of shocked that they're still playing them, which is kind of crazy. But I like St. Clair. I think there's a good chance that he can get a clean sheet at home. They play really well at Allianz Field in front of the Wonderwall. The other guy I wrote up in my article was Markenich. I wouldn't play him in your top lineup, but if you're dying for a defensive option and a low budget guy, I think he was 69 cents at limited. Nice earlier. So you don't feel good about him. I think that you could play Pereira with Yeboah, a little stack there. Tani possibility. You could play him. But outside of that, you don't really feel good about playing any of these guys. But I think Dane St. Clair is an elite play as far as goalies this week. I think Yeboah is one of the top forward plays this week as far as matchup. And then I think Pereira is a secondary play. I just don't feel comfortable playing the rest. But it's a great matchup. So I think whatever their floor scores are, I think you can bump them up 5 to 10 points just based on the matchup. I think, that's a good question. B- tier play. I think he's more in play, but playing that right back / right wing back role limits his scoring significantly, as opposed to whenever he was a right wing, getting forward and, getting decisives. It's just really hard for him to get decisives from back there unless he makes a long run on the wing. Having a major selection headache for this game week. Wow, your goalie defense is set. That's actually a great thing. I really struggle with the goalie and defense part just because I don't have a ton of options of looking in season. Haven't really built any lineups yet, but goalkeeper and defense is always tough for me. And then, the other 3 you're struggling. If you're struggling because you have a bunch of guys in good spots, that's great. If you're struggling because you have okay options, that can be a little tricky. Sylvan Bonnie good in season because of prices. So Leggett or Fagundes for the extra spot. So Dallas is on the road at a Colorado team that's, tired legs. Mihalovic doesn't rotate. Navarro doesn't rotate, but those constant games can really add up. The back line could be a little tired. It could be interesting there. And then Fagundes, Galaxy, they did not look good, but he is on sets. Boy, I don't know. Again, tired Vancouver team, but if they're resting Gauld and Kubas and Veselinovic, they're 3 arguably best players. And that could be a little bit tricky. So I think I would, as far as matchup, I like Dallas's matchup a little bit more, surprisingly enough. But Fagundes with those sets, all sets mostly, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. You don't feel great about either one. I think I would lean Fagundes because of sets and possible decisive coming off one of them. But with Lucho in town, it kind of takes away the upside that Leggett would have had. So I'd probably go Fagundes. But whenever it's the wrong pick, don't come back. Don't come back and say, hey, you picked them. No, I'm just kidding. Jay Lane, who do you think is the best choice for defense, Jordi Alba or Santos from Orlando? So if you have Alba, you're probably going to play him. regardless of the matchup. He's the one guy, and Houston doesn't look like a great team based on their home loss already. But tired legs around them, a rotated squad. I like Orlando a lot this week against Toronto. I think Toronto punched above their weight, but XG kind of favored them as well. But I love Orlando's matchup. He had 11 penalty area entries. He had one big chance created as far as Santos. And if, one goes in, then we're saying, he scored pretty well, actually. I think Santos could have one of those peak games, but it's really hard to sub in and not play Alba whenever you have him. That's just, but again, away versus home, it's just kind of how do you feel matchup wise, but Alba could easily get a decisive, and then it's just, easy Alba. But I would lean Alba, but I really like Santos this week. Thoughts on Hartle and Sean Nealis or Almiron, or buying a different stud classic defender? Oh, okay. What's struggling to see what the question? Okay, thoughts on Hartle. Hartle's good. Yeah. I know he didn't have a great first matchup, but I'm going to chalk that up to. I don't think anybody really did. They didn't really have a lot of chances, but he's on all sets. But if you kind of dive into, he started out pretty poorly. I bought the top. I guess I can get this off here. I wrote in my article, he hasn't scored less than 60 at home in like 10 matches. But yeah, obviously that happened. But that 56, 21 AA, and that's kind of like worst case. And we get to be talking about it completely different if you take a look here. He had 7 attempted assists and 8 penalty entries. I know no big chance created, but if you have 7 attempted assists, you like that aspect of it. He's on all sets. I still love him just because of one blip. And if that's your bad score, that doesn't kill a lineup. It doesn't, you don't win with that lineup, but yeah. Sean Nealis, it's in a good matchup for New York Red Bulls. A different stud classic defender. I mean, you could go that route. Miggy Almiron isn't on any sets, which kind of is a bummer. I was hoping he would get at least some. I wasn't thinking that Saba would take half and half from Moranchuk, but here we are. But I think you can roll out Sean Nealis just based on the matchup. It's a good matchup. Probably they either have the highest or second highest clean sheet odds. If you get that 10 points, it doesn't. If there's ever a time to play him, it'd probably be here, right? Against Nashville, who have been having trouble scoring. The midfield, they are getting slowly back, but they have injuries. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Excited to see how San Jose performs away from home. Yeah, I am too. After that 4-0, I mean, they looked unbeatable, but there's a lot of things. You could make a knee-jerk reaction about so many of these teams. I love the attack, but yeah, that's going to be interesting how they play away from home, especially, you look at the odds. The odds don't mean everything, but it's kind of crazy after seeing what we've seen so far that Sporting Kansas City is 48% chance to win based on the odds, and San Jose is 31. If you told somebody that in like any other league, they'd be like, how is that even possible? Sporting Kansas City has 1 goal this season. But yeah, I'm definitely interested there. All right. So you have good players at least. Yeah, that's very tough. Messi is Messi. I agree. Away or home, and especially him coming off a little bit early to get a little bit of rest, that should entail him starting again. Carl's Hill at home, but against the Crew leaky a little bit. They won 4-2, but they did concede twice. Schulte looked a little bit shaky. As someone who owns him, I was not loving that, but it's hard to not play Messi in that situation. Zink over Clark for me. I think Zink is going to have a huge bounce back. He had a horrible output the first match. That's a guy that I haven't bought yet. I have price alerts on him, but shouldn't be saying this to people watching the chat. But I was looking. I think was there an auction finishing? I must have missed it, didn't I? 7 hours ago. I went for 75, so it's about in line with what the last one was going for. What do we got? The floor price is the mids, so I would rather have the full year. That's kind of what I've been looking at, but neither here nor there. DC is a good matchup, and while he had a horrible output here, just everything not what you want, and didn't really have that many chances, but he was on all sets, so that is like the positive that I'm taking from it. That's probably the worst outcome you could probably have. Air led to goal, negative AA, conceding 4. I think I have the midfield card on. So yeah, if you have the forward card, you wouldn't get docked with those. Oh no, this is the forward card. So even worse with the mid. Yeah, 4. I think he bounces back though. Big fan of Zink right now for this matchup. Bamba, he started off phenomenal. I think he's in a good matchup. Nelson and Lozano. I would go Bamba first, Lozano second, Nelson third there. But if you pick Hill, I can pick 2 of the forwards. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's hard not to play Messi. It is. But I think your overall lineup would be a little bit better with Hill and then playing Bamba and Lozano. But again, that's just you're kind of in a good shape if you're deciding whether to play Messi or not. Second lineup will be 5 in season. I got you. Yeah. He's your classic rare. Almiron's in season, so I could buy another classic defender if I had to. I got you. Yeah. Another tricky one, McGlynn or Espinoza. Give me McGlynn at home. The AA. I mean, you have to, if you're new here, I love McGlynn. I think, and I just had the conversation with ATX Mix. If you're familiar with him, he had a question about McGlynn as well. This is a loss, and he had 52 AA. I talked about how McGlynn is going to a better situation, a role that'll actually fit how he plays, a Hector Herrera role, and he's going to be on sets, and it couldn't be better. They lost, and he scored 87 points. That's tremendous. I think that Espinoza, he had a great match, obviously. I'm not going to say that he didn't. He was phenomenal. But I would play McGlynn just because McGlynn getting to 60, he doesn't need a decisive. He's probably going to walk into a 60. And that's not his floor. I would say his floor is probably around the 50 area. But if he gets an assist on one of these corners or one of these sets, he's scoring 100. Where Espinoza, yes, he just did it. And if we go to his, he had 2 decisives going into that. So I just think you're relying on decisives a little less. 2 decisives, but he had 27 AA. It's not like he wasn't good. And I would just lean McGlynn. And if that's what you have to make the decision on, why not both? Did San Jose play 3 at the back? Yeah. So let's get to my San Jose lineup. Yeah, I did see that in preseason a little bit, but some of the choices that they had was pretty shocking. Ricketts started. I didn't see that coming. Really, I thought Vitor Costa would. But the real shocker was LaRue. I mean, I knew he was with the team in preseason and had a little bit, but him starting over K, I just didn't see it all. It must have been just K not quite ready. But yeah, that was a little bit shocking. This is the formation they played. Espinoza played that like right wing back, but he played way further up. And he had Rodriguez as his cover here. Rodriguez smashed his face off, but yeah. I know you put 70% for Kelsey. How do you think about him? I'll play him with DaCosta in my second lineup. So Kelsey's very decisive, kind of limited. He needs a decisive to score well. And there's a chance he gets a 60 just because he got a decisive, which isn't great. I got one as well, just more of if DaCosta was playing in that second half, they were down a man and he was playing in the Evander role. So that's what you love to hear. Nothing but rave reviews from Phil Neville, which you can put whatever stock into that. Firing up DaCosta, I would lean towards a different forward instead of stacking those two. But Kelsey, he could definitely get a decisive. It's just the 70% was if they change formations and Felipe Mora goes up top by himself. But there was talk that whenever they have their guys, they'll go back to a 4-2-3-1 that he'd like to play. But BCG Cobra, I showed Inter Miami a little bit ago. You can either backtrack or I'll just pop it up real quick. I'm not going to explain anything just because already went through them. But these are all available on Sorare Inside. Use code DEEK10, 10% off any subscription. So yeah, I'll leave this up here while I'm answering some of these other questions. Always classic Messi when he's like a lead play. In your situation, pair the mid Zinc with Bamba for their matchup. Yeah, I like that. Almost bought today's Zinc, but let it go. Yeah, for sure. Jordan Moore's potential start fourth game in 2 weeks. I think so. He played. How many minutes did he play? He got subbed. Yeah, he played till halftime. So yeah, I think it's fine. For sure. It's got burned last week, but yeah, got 387 points with his stinker. Dang. David Off, what's happening? Nelson versus LA is tempting. LA was terrible and he was incredible. Yeah, for sure. The one thing that I would say is he was playing against 10 men. Not to like say that a goal and 3 assists is not amazing. I was not very high on him coming in, so it could just be I'm wrong. But I'd like to see him do it against 11. Chart, good to put in my lineup. Yeah, he's been fully training. I would assume he's starting. Just Heat is the expert for them. We'll pull up St. Louis. My personal prediction is Chart in there. He's 70%. Yeah, I would think he's pretty good. I think I went 75%. They need him to say the least. So hopefully that helps out, Cameron. Yeah. All right. All caught up on the chat. It took a little bit, but appreciate you guys weathering the storm there. That's just I go on tangents if you're new here. Do my best to stay on track, but can't always do it, right? Yeah. All right, keep firing questions as you have them. I'm going to start kind of just brief thoughts on each match. One thing that maybe you should know based on each one. I'm not going to go into every lineup, but yeah, I can show things as we go. Based on, all these streams, I'm not sure if I'll show every lineup, every stream, because then why get the membership? Because, we do get compensated, trying to get compensated for doing these lineup predictions. So can't give everything for free, but I'll answer any questions and, SKC, we'll go to Alex's, shout out to ATG server on Twitter. This is Alex's prediction, based on everything here. So I'll just leave that up while I look at the next ones. Any thoughts on the San Jose attack? Yeah, they're great. I don't think they're going to score 4 every match, but Espinoza on pretty much, most sets. Hernan Lopez took, I think, maybe 2 sets, and SB took most. The 2 attackers, Rongo, if he can stay healthy and stay out of trouble the whole year, he just kind of seems disinterested halfway through the season. He always starts off really well and then kind of tails. And then just Joseph Martinez, he just stays healthy. Yeah, I like it, but I'm not going to put a ton of stock into one performance. They did look good, but yeah, just one performance. Ooh. All right, so let's get into this. We'll start with my favorite match, I think, of the entire weekend, and that is Charlotte-Atlanta. That's a fun matchup. Defensive matchup as far as Charlotte goes. They, are really solid. Yeah, so that's kind of Kalina's always good, but that Atlanta attack, I'm interested to see what they can do on the road. And I'm really hoping that Ryan's here. He's the Atlanta, and he's going to it as well. Wow, that's awesome. He's the expert for Atlanta, and yeah, what's not to like about that attack? How they're going to do against Charlotte, who this should be a playoff. Both teams are playoff teams, and Zaha coming back from, his kid was just born, and he flew back, trained today. It looks like he's all things go and expected to be in the starting lineup, which is awesome. It would have been a bummer if we didn't get him again. So yeah, everybody's going to be there, except for we're still waiting on Brooks Lennon. I would love to see Amador make an appearance or something to get him back as another defensive option. So yeah, I'm excited for that match for sure. Do you think Jesus Ferrer will start this game based on the rotation that Seattle's been doing, their attack? I mean, they have a lot of attacking options. I think they'll save them for midweek again. And then whenever the fixtures kind of settle down, they might switch the formations to play him and Rusnak together. But I do not have my admit. I think 40%, 30 or 40%. Ryan, think ATG is shallowy too low? Yeah. Vermees is very loyal to his boys. I think he rotates it back 2 cents. Yeah. Sporting Kansas City's been really tough to predict so far. Yeah, Amador's confirmed out. Okay, yeah. I'm just kind of like, I bought one just because that's the guy that you need to have later. But yeah. Oh, and you have Zaha as well. I'm 70% on him, but like all signs are leading towards him being able to start based on everything I saw today. Yeah. Next up, a real snoozer between New York Red Bulls and Nashville. Nothing screams goals than this. Yeah, New York Red Bulls are 61% to win, and I do rate them well. Forsberg, I wrote about him in my column, and the AA hasn't been there, but I think he could see a little bit more AA this year based on no John Tolkien. So all those set pieces, he had all of them. So if he continues to take all those sets, whether it's the AA that improves, whether it's the decisives, and that second year bump. So I do like a lot of things about Forsberg. He's probably running rampant in New York. Just love him being away from his, family and, starting a new life. Nashville kind of hasn't gotten off to the start that everyone was kind of planning on, but a lot of things, Brugman getting injured and not being in there, he is vital to how Nashville's going to play, progressive passes, the build up, like, there's so many things that he does well that Nashville needs to get the ball into Hani Mukhtar and let him do his thing, but getting outfield. So I think until he's back, this Nashville team's not going to look very sexy, to say the least, as maybe some people thought coming into the season. I'm not giving up all hope, but yeah, they had a great back line. 0-0 is not out of the ordinary. I'd say 1-0 Red Bulls, but I don't know. We'll see. Philadelphia, who lucked into a win. I will say lucked because they were outplayed. All 4 shots went in the net on Gillespie, and they lost the XG battle. It was kind of laughable. Half of the game where Orlando just couldn't find the back of the net. They had just point blank shots in front of the net. They were just missing. Luis Muriel just continues to miss and be a horrendous signing. I thought he was going to be good when he came over. Boy, he just looks horrendous. As far as this, Philly is favored at home. A little side note, they got a new speaker system. And I've heard it's loud, which, Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad they posted that today. Yeah, hopefully we hear some dupe. I was hoping to, I wasn't hoping to go. I was playing around with going, but not going to end up going to the home opener. But definitely will make my appearance down there whenever it warms up. And hockey's over. I got a weekend off of hockey. I got states next weekend, Pennsylvania states. Then if we win, we go to nationals. But if we lose, then I'm done for a little bit. So I'll have a little bit more time to go travel to a Philly game. They got lucky. Again, I'm a pessimistic Philly fan. They did some solid things. They do get Harriel, who's going to be available. And their new signing striker is coming in. He just got cards too. Rude was the one who won the one of. I had like alerts on it and I just forgot about it. And I'm bummed because I would have definitely paid the price that he paid. Very solid buy there. But what I've been seeing from my, I don't have like sources to the club by any means. I don't. I wish I did. But the notifications for every Philly outlet that I have that covers the Union or Philly beat writer, I usually see almost everything. But Ura is linked to leaving this summer, which would open up Ty and Damiani as the two strikers. So right now, Damiani coming in, it's like, who's he going to take over for? But I think they're going to ease him in early in the season. Then when summer comes around, Ura leaves and, there's no question mark about who is the guys. Jay Blaze, you got to feel good about him. Cincy with their injuries and kind of, issues on the back line, I think they concede. I think Philly scores. And with Kai getting all sets when I should say before Vasilev comes into play and eats into that a little bit, he's going to be available. I would assume he went off the bench. But with Kai's set piece options, I think he has a good chance to get it decisive. I like him. I like him anytime he's at home. It doesn't really matter the opponent. But these Cincy Philly games always end up being like a 4-3 match. But that was with Lucho Acosta. Now they have all these other guys. So, I think he'll score fine. FPL Thinker, what's happening? Thanks for coming into live for sure. First time. Let's go. If you have a Kai, you're playing him kind of situation. So did I open that up twice? Why would I have that open twice? Okay. Next match, LAFC New York City. Not a lot to say here other than LAFC hasn't looked great yet. New York City coming off the 2-2 draw. Was it 3-3? 3-3 draw against Inter Miami. That's a great result. But, they had that red card for Aviles, which I don't know. I don't know how maybe Jay Blaze thinks about that. He's a New York City fan. But yeah, I'm still not very high on this team until some signings come in. And it's kind of a waiting game based on that. It'll be nice to have Martins back. He should be available. He is available, I believe, was the quote from the presser today. Tavon Gray has been fully training as well. So that's good to get those guys back. But I think LAFC wins. But yeah, LAFC hasn't really looked like Bouanga. I thought he was going to have a hot start to the season. He's kind of just lukewarm. So might be a good time to buy low on him. We'll see. New England Columbus. I kind of sneakily like this. Yeah, this is a good point. You can play Freeze, Maxi if you started in Martinez, but that's about it right now. Yeah. Hannes Wolf I thought would be I thought Hannes Wolf would be a little bit better. But yeah, there's still time on that. Yeah. I feel like if Maxi's not in the starting lineup, you could fire up Hannes Wolf and I think he could play score a lot better server wise with him out of the lineup. Daniel, was Dallas your easiest lineup prediction this week? It actually, usually I struggle a lot with Dallas, not gonna lie, just because like some of their midfield pieces last year were a little bit different and like just the shuffling. But yeah, it kind of played out itself. I say that and then watch, I'll get like 7 right. But it seemed pretty straightforward. And usually when it seems straightforward, something happens. But knock on wood, yeah. Andy, what's happening? Is Carlos Gil the most watched player in MLS? We'll hang up and listen. No, he's gonna have a great weekend. I'm still a believer. Everybody that I buy is washed, so I have an all wash team. That's great. Speaking of washed, RSL, man, they look horrendous. Again, this is like the ultimate test of, okay, this is MLS. RSL look like the worst team. Seattle might be the best team, and RSL's at home, and they are 41% chance to win, and against 35% for Seattle. Make this make sense. Home field advantage, baby. It's crazy. It's Major League Soccer. You would never think, one of the, and when I say one of the worst so far, based on Champions Cup, they've had to rotate. They have good pieces. It's just Rafael Cabral looks horrendous. Are we going to see Stajuhar soon? Before it's crazy, like McMath being out, everyone's like, man, I wish we had McMath. You got rid of Beavers. Beavers could be the starter. I mean, he could easily do this. I mean, I think Beavers has upside, but if you take your money, you take your money. I don't know. Just my 2 cents there. Talked about Minnesota United. Biggest favorite in the slate, as they should be, in my opinion. I like them. We talked a little bit about Sporting Kansas City against San Jose. This is going to be the ultimate, again, home versus away. SKC is 48% chance to win. San Jose on the road. How can they do it? You wonder. It's just, there's a lot of question marks that are going to be not answered. It's the second match of this season, but addressed. How are these teams going to do on the road? Because if you get a road draw, that's a huge win in MLS. So Houston against Inter Miami playing more games, rotating squads, a lot of things going into this, but Messi should and most likely will start. If you have him, you have Suarez, you have Alba, you're going to have a bad time. But Houston at home, wait till we get to the summer. I think they will turn it around significantly. Struggle early with the new cohesion of the group. But yeah, maybe we got a tight one here. We'll see. Portland versus Austin. Here's the ultimate. Are we overreacting or not on Portland? So Portland is interesting because they do have depth. They do have nice pieces. But the problem is they have a lot of injuries to the guys that really help the team be what they are. Pereira da Costa. I've seen David da Costa. I've seen David Pereira da Costa, whatever you want to call him. I'm just going to call him da Costa or da Costa, whatever you want to do there. Neville said that he will start. He's 90 minutes fit. So he gets the first 95% of the year. What could possibly go wrong with that? I think they might need to change the formation eventually. They want to play in a 4-2-3-1, but with guys like Jono Rodriguez, Santi Moreno, these guys out, they need them in the starting lineup. You could play Anthony, sure. And then Mosquera, he's another guy. Like as him as a right back that can move forward up that right side as well, just makes the team completely, a really dynamic threat. They played with 10 men after 11 minutes. Kamal Miller got a red card after 11 minutes. So I'm not going to put too much stock into that. I still think this team is deep, and sometimes, depth in MLS is key. You look at San Diego, the depth isn't there, but that starting 11 is so good. In my opinion, they have a lot of good pieces. They do have holes in the starting 11 as well, like Loffelson, but yeah, it appears there. But whenever they have these midweeks where they have to rotate, that's when they can get got. But again, that's a lot of just question marks. Jimmer Forey, a lot of love from Phil Neville And I think them having his profile on the left side and Mosquera whenever he's healthy on the right side is interesting, but it's not going to lend itself to too much defensive work, although Forey has been seen backtracking well and doing some good things, where Mosquera likes to kind of lean forward, where that's where, wing backs make sense in that, but just kind of depends how they line up whenever everyone's healthy. But if they play this formation, I still think they have a chance at home against Austin, but Austin, they retold. I like a good amount of their team as well. But again, going on the road, a lot of these things, Providence Park is a tough place to play. It can be pretty tricky there. So I lean Portland in that matchup. And I think I might be one of the only people that lean that way just because of, last weekend. Also winning 1-0, but they weren't convincing. Uzuni should be at least in the lineup, at least in the squad. I have him starting, but there is some risk that he comes off the bench. He was reportedly tired in training, a hard training week, but should be good to go. And we'll see how that goes. Orlando City, really high on them. Toronto actually played pretty well in the first match. Kind of surprising. I didn't really think so. They got a draw with DC. I thought DC was going to beat them. They got a draw with DC. They out XG'd them. And no Insigne. Insigne has been training, but again, Robin Fraser's sticking to his guns, and good for him. But if you're Insigne, if you're making that amount of money, you're going to do whatever you can to not get bought out. I get his side too. I don't like the guy, but I get his side. If you're paying me that much, I'm going to do everything I can to not play and get paid. Yeah, that's awesome. But again, love of the game, probably not there, but he's in MLS, so you're not really going to do much there. Back to San Diego. So San Diego, St. Louis. Very interesting matchup. The first home match for the expansion club. A few Sorare hooligans will be there. Good for them. It's going to be exciting. Against St. Louis City, who were largely underwhelming based on their first match. Yeah, San Diego seemed like world beaters, but we'll see if they can back up that performance. Anders Dreyer looked great. Chucky Lozano took every set piece, I believe, So it seems like he has a monopoly on sets. Whether or not he's dusty is still, we'll see. But gutsy win. I know the Galaxy aren't the same Galaxy of last year, but to go on the road and win your first match, there's a lot of St. Louis vibes from their expansion season, in my opinion. But yeah, Chicago, I'm high on them this week. That's crazy to say out loud. There he is. I was wondering if he would be in here. Yeah, let's go. League MVP. No dust. Yeah. Jesus Ferreira and Ariola start or be benched like last week? They've been doing a rotation based on Champions Cup, so that's why they rotated a little bit. So if you could just kind of follow the breadcrumbs with some of these guys with the attack, I would say this only works for the attack, and it's worked so far based on this. And I've actually got them right in the forward spots for the most part. But with Rusnak did not play as a sub. He was rested. He's coming back from injury. He should start. I'd say 90%. I'd say 90% on him just because fresh legs. He looked good. 90%. That pushes Ferreira back to being a sub again, just because of the midweeks. Once we get into the regular season and, they're maybe out of Champions Cup and they don't have a midweek to worry about, you're going to see a best 11. But I don't think they're fielding best 11s. For example, Pedro de la Vega, he had a great preseason, and he's been tremendous in this season. He was awesome last night. He had some turnovers too, but he played really well. 2 goals, 91.4, a goal in the other start. But again, he could either start again or they rest him for Champions Cup, which I'm leaning towards they rest him for Champions Cup. And Georgie starts again just because they're trying to get everybody involved and rest those legs. The only guy that hasn't rotated is Jordan Morris, who only played 45 minutes. So it's like he rested in the midweek. And then your question about Ariola, same situation here. So started. He will be most likely sub on the weekend. And Rothrock, I have him coming in based on that. But Ariola only played 57 minutes. That could be something to watch. Maybe they stick with him this weekend. But I'm just going based on the previous rotations and kind of sticking with that vibe. Zuniga going to start. Oh, you're good. You're good. I actually didn't pop up Austin's lineup, so let's actually look at Austin's lineup. I'm 60%. I think I might have said 70%. I apologize. 60% just based on what was said today, that he's been fully training and he's a little bit of what was the exact quote? He was a little tired after today's training, but he's been training hard all week. Makes me think maybe there's a chance off the bench. But I have him in the starting lineup, 60%. Wolf can play there as well. We talked in the comments on this that they did play 4-4-2. They could slide to that 4-4-2 where Vasquez plays like the right striker, and then Uzuni kind of like plays off of him, below him, like like a shadow-ish role, but more on the wing underneath him, kind of 4-4-2 there. But if Sabovic is fit enough, I think he played 11 minutes in the opener. If he's fit enough to start, I would say he starts. And then 3-man midfield makes sense to get your kind of best guys out there. But again, there is some risk there. It could definitely be a 4-4-2 with, Wolf starting again, Illy and Danny Pereira in there, and, maybe even Obrian in the mix as well. So that's kind of, but if you have an Uzuni with the new sub rules, I think you're fine with starting him. Like if your subs didn't get 35 like they do anymore, maybe you're a little bit more hesitant, but I'll be shocked if he doesn't get like at least 30 minutes, which isn't a glaring endorsement on the road against Portland, but I don't think you feel terrible about playing him regardless. Last two matches here, Colorado, Dallas. This is just like a yucky match. It's Uzuni or Pereira. I'd say upside go Uzuni. If you want to play safer, Pereira. I do like the Pereiras on some sets, but I wonder if Uzuni is going to take away from his sets. With him not being there preseason, you couldn't really figure that out based on the few clips that we saw. But I'm interested to see how that kind of turns as well. Colorado just, they looked okay. They won the first leg against LAFC. They crashed out midweek. They have injuries on the back line. Dallas won their rivalry match against Houston in Houston. They do have Peter Musa, Lucho Costa. They have some nice pieces. 48% chance for Colorado. I still think Colorado is a solid team. It's just some of the early injuries have been brutal, especially on the back line. They're kind of fielding whatever they can at this moment on the back line. So they need some health. And then Vancouver. Let's get a score check on Vancouver. Right. So I forget when it was. I was streaming a game on the side. And for whatever reason, this was kind of freezing up. So we got 0-0 with Saprissa. They lost the first leg, so they do need to win. Ahmed, what a great start over Gauld. So based on this, I think we're going to see Gauld come on at halftime. Kubas maybe come on at halftime. Got goal line clearance for Udvik. But maybe Priso gets subbed. Not watching the match, but that's what I would think would happen. Gauld's got to come on at halftime. They're not going to just give up, I would think. Maybe they will. But yeah, that kind of Gauld coming on, but Gauld could be in a really good spot against the Galaxy, who I didn't think they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd be that bad just from an eye test in that first match. Not to say that San Diego didn't deserve that. I think San Diego definitely deserved that result as well. But team just looked lost outside of like Yamani. And even Peck didn't look that great. Ricky Puig is a huge loss. Some of these other guys that were like, you didn't really take him into consideration, but like Brugman, his loss. Some of these guys, they just don't have a replacement for, and they just aren't that good. Paintsel getting hurt, it's big. A lot of things going on there with the Galaxy. So that's just my 2 cents on all these games. I'm excited for this again. I mean, what's better than a little bit of MLS action and kind of so many goals. I don't know if anyone watches MLS 360, but I'm always MLS 360 on one screen. I'll watch the Philly game on the other screen. Then later on, if a game kind of interests me or I have a sweat going on, I'll throw that on. But yeah, MLS 360 is about as good as it gets. It could be better just based on some of the things. Like they get stuck on games sometimes, and you see every big event though. At least that's it's like the Golazo channel, whatever each turnaround thing. It's like the red zone for NFL. Galaxy's so boring to watch. Yeah, Ricky Puig, he controls everything. It's just poor little Ricky. This team has shades of 2 years ago whenever Ricky was just kind of out there with a bunch of corpses. Then he got hurt, and boy, that was just awful to watch. What, Jonathan Bond in that? Oh, that was just a yucky team. Yeah, let's go. Have a good night, Daniel. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. So yeah, any other questions? I don't have anything like else planned. Waston up there. That's great. Yes, you have to do either the workaround is, so I have a like TV that has like streaming whatever, and then on a different computer. Has to be a different computer. So my setup, basically, I have TV, I have laptop, and then I have this desktop. So that's the only workaround. So I can actually watch 3 different ones at a time. But it's so dumb that you can't do like multiple tabs. Just makes 0 sense why they do that. Well, I get why they do it, but it's just annoying. But yeah, you have to do different devices. And this as well. I haven't tried incognito. I'm not an incognito guy like Andy over here. But different browser, yeah. I can confirm that as well. I think I did. What was I running? Like Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. I think I was edging a little bit, but Apple TV, yeah. We talk about it. Andy's very familiar. It's just the same commercials over and over every year. They just like, I don't care about that stupid kid who he likes sharks now. Like, I just stop playing the same commercials every time. Oh. If you do the Apple TV device thing, they do multi-screen there. Dumb, it's only in there. Okay, I don't have that. I haven't seen that. So who among Giroud or Abobasi will start? I lean Abobasi this game week just based on form, and honestly, he could probably take the starting position. Giroud stinks. But yeah, it's a lot of midweek situations as well. They've just been kind of rotating back and forth, but should be Abobasi up. He's just playing better. And it randomly cuts out. Yeah, you'll have that. You have to reload it. Yeah. Messi commercials drop the music. Oh my god. It's just laughable. Like I don't know. I just don't have words. It's just, how do you only have the same commercials? You should be trying to, maybe that's why they cut all the programs they had to. Poor Draft Kicks got his fantasy column cut. All the different shows got cut just because they're were they not doing ad service because they only got one? Hey, you get a yearly spot for $60. And it's the Sharks commercial over and over. We're just going to keep hammering it down people's throats for one investment for $60. What we should have did is threw our own commercial on there, so it's just played every single time. Oh man, nothing like getting heated over commercials on Apple TV. Oh man, let's see what we got here. Did I even start any builds? I don't even know if I didn't even get there yet. Yeah. So how does everybody feel? Does everyone happy with their placements? I thought I had a horrendous game week. It just wasn't good at all. And I have 2 D1s and a D2. I'm kind of shocked at that just because, I mean, my one lineup got $20, but the other 2 were just not great. But yeah. For SKC, shall we start? Is it a good matchup for San Jose attack, even though it's away? It's kind of a toss-up early in the season. Usually away is tough, but based on the odds, so Sporting Kansas City is actually the favored pretty significantly, 48%. I mean, it's not past the 50% or 50% mark where you're kind of looking for, but San Jose only has 31%, 1.3 XG, expected 1.6 for Sporting Kansas City. But that San Jose attack, I mean, you still feel fine about playing them. You're not gonna not play Espinoza or someone like that just because it's at Sporting Kansas City. But their back line has looked a little bit better. Like defensively, they've played a little bit better. And they have some exciting pieces for that. But as far as Shallowy, this is Alex. So rare. He is the team expert here. He is actually going away from Shallowy starting. But again, yeah, this is kind of a toss-up. It's a new signing, Shappy. I'm just going to call him Shappy all year. He played. He looked okay at times. Manu Garcia is the other one. They have a connection. They both played at, what is it, Aris or whatever it's called in Greece. Yeah. But he has them 50-50 here. But a comment earlier was that, Peter Vermees has some ties to some of these guys who've been around here. So, Shallowy 50-50, but he's been awful. SofaScore is obviously, I like SofaScore a lot just based on everything here. But if you kind of take a look at just everything involved in him, that was last year. I was going to say, what? That was last year. If you look at this year, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. He's been bad based on the eye test as well. He's losing possession. There's a lot of things going on. So I get why it's a 50-50 here for sure. He's been dreadful. Here we go. Reem, Ura, Morris, Harvey, or Hollingshead. We'll choose whoever you say. So Morris only played 45 minutes, so you got to think that he's going to start against Salt Lake. He's kind of getting a little decisive dependent, but he could very well have one. LAFC at home against New York City is a really tasty matchup. Out of all those guys, I'd probably go Hollingshead just because I see more outcomes to him getting 60 and not even needing a decisive than, the other guys need a decisive. Maybe not Harvey. Harvey, solid AA. Great matchup as well. It's a midfield card for him, so you don't get that clean sheet bonus. Yeah, I'd probably go Hollingshead. So whenever he doesn't do well, yeah. In terms of matches, rank the forwards. All right, we're why don't I just do your lineups on Lineup Builder? Rank the forwards: Denke, Morris, Bernadeschi, Abobasi, Hugo Kuipers, and Denke again. Matchup wise, Denke's playing at Philly, which isn't the worst since he always scores in Philly. It seems like it's always, goals. 1.4 XG there. They are underdogs. Morris, they are underdogs. We just talked about them. 35%, 1.2 XG. Abobasi in a good matchup likely starting against New York City FC. He's been in form, so he is probably the best matchup so far of teams we've talked about. Until we get to Hugo Kuipers, who I'm high on Chicago against DC. But again, 1.6 XG, it's about the same, 46% win percentage. He is decisive dependent. He's got to get a decisive to pay off. And then Denke again. Let's go back to Denke. Denke against Philadelphia. So same matchup there. It's just kind of, you're splitting hairs with some of those guys. Probably, I don't know. You can kind of match those guys up all over the place. Abobasi, if he starts, which he should, 75% I went. But Denke against Philly's back line. Yeah, I'd probably go Denke. Then I would go Kuipers. Then I would go Denke again. And then I forgot about Berna. Bernadeschi is on all sets. So if they can do anything against Orlando, he's going to be a part of it. I just wonder if they can do anything against Orlando. I know what just happened with Philly. But yeah, I think you feel fine with playing Bernadeschi on the road, but because everything runs through him, all sets. So maybe him, then Abobasi, then Morris, and then Denke again. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll get to this later. All right. So you can still hit me with questions, but I'm just going to kind of take a quick gander at this. I'm not going to build all my things. Yeah, I know. I was just messing with you. Goalie. I hate goalies. So I'm interested to see what other people's strategies are. So I didn't play the streak for the cash or the splash for the cash, going streaking, whatever it was. I didn't play it first week just because I want to go the 4+1 route to try and get as many in D1. I got 2 out of 3 in there. I guess that's fine. I was hoping to get 3 out of 3, but I will probably play 1 all 5 and then 2 4+1s likely. I think that's going to be my strategy just because it just doesn't really, getting that first one, hopefully I can get it with the one lineup, but if I don't, I guess it is what it is. I'm not putting too much stock into those streaks. I'm not sure if I'm going to even be able to. Plus, that specialist competition, whatever that is, you need 4+1 on that. So you have 4+1 there. You have 3 lineups there. Then you come back over to the in-season ones here. You got 3 lineups. It just, maybe I won't even have a lineup, that has all 5 for that. So that's kind of just my thinking. I'm not really going to prioritize it, but if I have a lineup that makes sense to do it, then I'll do it that way. But, if you have a classic Messi, you just probably got to throw him in there, right? Is Hani worth playing in D1? It just depends what you got around him. Without like Brugman and some of these guys, it's probably one of the worst matchups you can have because the defense, especially with them playing a back 5-ish, back 3-5, whatever you want to call it, for the Red Bulls, I don't know. If he scores, he might still score 60. So if you have somebody else, I think that's great, but I don't know. It just depends what else. I know you just listed all the other guys you got, but this is D1 Classic, so it's going to be really hard. Ray, you think 4+1s? Yeah, that's just makes sense. With my gallery as well, it just kind of makes sense based on what I built for. I have 2 Classic Kai. That's just kind of why I built it around that as well. Just to hope to take advantage of whenever he scores 80 to 90. I have that in 2 different lineups, and that's kind of pretty big, but I don't know. We'll see. Neil, 95%. He's actually getting the highest percent that I've had because of the presser today and presser yesterday. He said that he's 90 minutes fit. He said that he will start. So, I mean, it is kind of, you never know based on Phil Neville. But, yeah, based on that, he will start, allegedly. So goalies, let's talk about goalies. I don't like my goalie options that much. The in-season goalies that I bought was Schulte, I bought Berkey and Ivicic, and I have a Pulse Camp as well. So I have all these options. A little bit tricky based on everything going on. Pulse Camp screaming to play him. That's so contrarian. It's so probably dumb too, but it's just screaming for me to play him. Just based on some of the other ones. Berkey road against San Diego. Schulte road against New England. Ivicic home against Columbus. You know, all these options are not great. So it might be crazy. Just because clean sheet wise, again, I'm not sure if you guys use this view for, but I do home away adjusted just to show a little bit of that. It underlines the ones you're looking at. But I like to sort by clean sheet to just kind of get a start of, okay, if you can get a clean sheet, and then kind of go based on floors, and then kind of go into each guy. So I'll probably do one lineup this way just to show you what my thinking is. This might not even be right. If you look at past results, you know, this doesn't always work. But so we come over to Pulse Camp. We take a look at these absolute howlers. But he's only conceding 1, but he doesn't have the AA to kind of back that up. Just no AA. He's not getting saves. Just nothing's happened. He did. That was last year. We take a look at the first Inter Miami. You know, he conceded the goal. He had a smother. There you go. But he's giving away possession. No, not really. So yeah, he got 3 AA. That's it. Next one, he conceded only once, but he had negative AA just because he's just not really getting in to the play. No, nothing, you know. And then obviously couple out of the water. He actually had a save here from inside the box, but you know, it's every chance has been a good chance, it seems like, or it's like, you know, a messy screamer volley that is just insane that he put enough power on it. So like, while he has the highest clean sheet odds, I don't know, it's tough. With San Jose, though, in theory, he should get a lot of shots if he could not concede based on that 3. And maybe he has a little bit of a better floor this week. But again, you don't feel good about playing him whatsoever. So it's rough out here. Jen against Phil Neville if he doesn't start. Yeah. I don't want to start this early in the season against Phil Neville just because what he did last year with the Evander talk and, you know, saying, yeah, he's going to start and then, or he's not going to start. And that's the opposite. But hopefully no mind games there. Oh, you got the number 1, Sanabria. Nice. He didn't score well the first match, but maybe he'll play better as the year goes on. Galaxy are just yikes. But yeah, I'm not going to buy another goalie. These are the goalies that I thought were reasonably priced at the time. Obviously, they'll come down as the year goes on. I'll probably end up buying a couple, maybe like 2 more to play matchups as the season goes on. But right now, I'm definitely tapped out as far as buying anything. Plus, you know, I could play an out-of-season goalie if there's a good matchup. But, you know, I'm not playing Andre Blake. I would, but I'm not playing him as that one-off when I could play Messi instead. So I'm probably leaning towards Schulte. He did not play very well last match, but he does have a decent score line. He conceded 2, but he still scored half decent. If he puts up this score, you aren't out of the woods as far as this kind of score doesn't make you not get first place. He's had not great matchups too, but he's pretty solid for 10A. On the road, maybe he gets a little bit more busy against Hill and company. So yeah, in my top lineup, he makes sense. I agree with the pick score here. We just saw what Pulse Camp is. You just can't play Pulse Camp in your top lineup. For me, I just can't do it. Can't do that to myself. He'll probably go to my second one, but I can't go to my top one. Then defender gets a little iffy. Hopefully you guys have better defender choices than I do. Kai's almost has to be it. I know that like the Messi makes sense, but I have some nice pieces as far as in season, and I'm going to play probably Messi in my second team. I know it seems weird, but I'm a home guy. But you kind of take a look at some of these guys that I have. I could play Marlon, but like I just feel like this team is not nearly as good as it could be. The one guy that kind of is interesting, your Hog Hides. I'm glad he started the first match. That's great. Lucas Engel's interesting. I don't know why he'd be 83%. He didn't play in the midweek, which is what you're looking for, a rested player. Even though he's away, Lucas Engel would be like the in-season guy to play, give me the option to play Messi. So maybe Kai goes in the other lineups. That kind of makes sense. I know I have a lot of options here. It's kind of gross how many options. And what I would really suggest, if you do the lineup builder, look through all your options, because this early in the season, some of the guys just their pick scores might be low just because they don't have anything like Pereira da Costa. His is probably low. And some of these guys are just probably low, just because there's no data behind it. So definitely look, and then look to make sure, like, yeah, it might say bench, but some of these guys might not be bench guys. So you definitely have to check to see whether or not they're going to be in the lineup, and make sure you're not missing out on somebody, because you keep looking, and maybe there's a guy that he's supposed to start, but he's all the way buried down here when you have a bunch of MLS cards like myself. So in this could change. I'm going to go Engel to play the in-season route with him, but like Markinich, 60% on the bench here. I'd be shocked if he doesn't start, unless they change the formation. But that's always a chance you're willing to take there. So Lucas Engel, yeah, like with him being this far down, I know it's a road matchup, but yeah. Yeah, so here's your example. Let's see what Goody. While I don't agree with the situation, why did I click off that? Okay, they're starting to get there. 40% only now has them there. So yeah, Brian Gutierrez is suspended after the fact. What's up, Sam? He's suspended after the fact, so that's that's kind of laughable that it's even 40%. It's just people don't know what's going on in that situation. Midfield. Okay, so I wrote up that I like Forsberg, and he has, Nashville's good defensively, though. It's tough there. But based on options, it's you could go a lot of different ways here. And that AAA pick score looks good on paper. Evander's tough not to play. He's going to be in one of my top 3 lineups. Even if he's on the road, he had a stinker the last 2, but he's still getting integrated. They all can't be a 20-minute just smash show. But while it would make sense to link these two together, I don't want to have them both. I don't think here. Paslick's in a really good matchup again. Some of the guys on the road, Moranchuk, road matchup, a little bit tricky. So again, there's Halmeron. It's just this game week for my gallery has a lot of road fixtures, and it's kind of how I planned some of it. But at the same time, you don't love it. Pereira da Costa is very, very interesting for me. He's going to get one of these top three. But again, like Forsberg, I know his A is not there, but if he has every set, there's so many chances at getting a decisive or like an attempted assist. You kind of get those for sure. Nelson with an assist. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm just wrong. He did it against 11 men. So, yeah, Nelson with the assist. Wow. That is crazy. Big. I'm going to go Forsberg. So I have two D1 entries. So this is going to be like a 1A, 1B based on this. I'm going to play Messi in this one just based on, this is kind of weird because I have 3 away players and I much rather like playing home players. So this is the away boys. We'll see how they can get on. But as the last spot, boy, there's so many options I could go with. Like, I picked up this Ojeda Classic just because I didn't want to pay the premium for his in-season card, but I wanted to have him for like a classic competition, or it's like a guy that I feel like you have to have. Hartle on the road, he had some okay, but then he has some like peak scores on the road as well. So that's a tough one. There's just a lot of tough choices here, and I know I'll probably choose wrong, but yeah, 15% on him too. That might be enough to play him. Yeah. I mean, with Ahmed's score based on what we saw in Sorare data there, it seems like he's just locking in that spot, huh? Yeah, I mean, if he just is a decisive machine every match. Guys like Shambos hiding down here, Moranchuk, but yeah, Denke. You could definitely play Denke. Bamba. Ooh, I didn't bring up Bamba, but Bamba is a tremendous option. That's another one. Yeah, there's so many good options. Dreyer at home against St. Louis, another good option. So obviously, a lot of good options here. What I'll probably do is, like your Bamba, maybe Dreyer. We'll see where we're at, but like, I want to put a bunch of guys, not Bamba in that situation, with like safe-ish floors, in my opinion, to try and hit that lower score, that hot streak. If I decide to go that route, I might just not play hot streaks. We'll see. I'm done scrolling too far. I love Yeboah, but I'm going to probably play him in the other lineup. I don't know. Maybe an Evander in this situation actually might be cool. Paslich. I'm going to put Evander in here. Evander played 45 minutes, right? Yeah. 8.8 and 45 minutes. Yeah, that's fine. One big chance created, attempted assist, everything's there. So yeah, let's link them up. Hopefully they connect on something. So this is an away boys, which is interesting. I just think Philly's going to concede 3. They got lucky that first match. They really did. And if you have Messi, you captain Messi. And it's just, if you think he's going to play, you captain him. So that's going to be my D1 lineup. Maybe I make some changes. Maybe I don't. Just want to give you an idea. And lineup, what I do, I'm a guy that tinkers and after the fact and, looks back and be like, man, I'm not sure what I want to do there. But my idea was having all these options, and it's probably silly, but for XP purposes, I'm playing like so many different lineups, and I'll play all the way down through classic or all the way down through limited. And while it seems stupid to play rares and limited, I mean, I'm just trying to get maybe XP from there. Maybe, these are like after like specials and things like that, they might be like my 10th best lineup. So I'm not expecting anything from them, but yeah, it's been about an hour and a half. So I think that's about good. What do you guys think? Build these lineups and go to bed, have a nice Friday, get through the work day, and we got the weekend. We got more MLS. Catch the end of this Vancouver game as well. Yeah. As far as DMs, my DMs are getting flooded, and it takes so much time for me to answer all your questions and DMs. So if I don't answer you, it's nothing against you. It's just, I mean, I just got a lot. And for me, like at work, I can't answer my DMs. And I get a lot like an hour before the game week lock. I'm just never going to answer in time. So if you're trying to reach me, then I'm sorry. If you're watching this back, I appreciate you watching. Like a lot of my views, what we got in here, about 30 people. A lot of my views are coming from people that watch after the fact. And that makes me really happy that people care enough to watch a stream after the fact, because obviously being in the live stream is a lot better than, just watching it back, but you can get little tidbits, things like that. So everyone, if you made it all the way to here, whether it's in the morning, whenever it is, I appreciate you guys watching too. So appreciate you guys. What do we know? I can't wait to see prize polls. I want to see somebody that I know win, first place. I think SR Monkey was, I don't know did he end up winning, but it's fun. I always watch the podium, D1 podium, see who's up there. I wouldn't be surprised if like guys like Harry or someone like that is up there. So I hope it's one of you guys in the chat, I hope everyone has a great game week. And it's Hershey. What's happening? Let's go. Good luck for your boys the rest of the way. So good luck to everybody, and we will see you next time.